I'm going to have to. Oh, it's live.
Yay. Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm just taking a minute to share into our groups as usual. Thanks for bearing with me. My computer is spinning. Oh boy. Come on, you can do it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Now I can, but I was
Oh,
trying to turn off the Facebook stuff.
okay. All right. I am sharing. It's happening. I really wish Facebook would let me do this before I went live, but we will deal with what we've got. All right. Unapologetic, Braveheart, and where are you? For some reason, it's not letting me find your group. Search. There it is. Okay, we're good. Got it. All right, hallelujah. Welcome to the end of 2020. All right, we made it. We survived, I think. I'm still kicking. Okay, so there's a lot of talk, and Marie, I love that you brought this up. Well, first of all, let me just introduce ourselves. Sorry, apologies. Manners here. Thank you for joining Braveheart Conversations. I'm Jillian Aurora, and my co-host today is the beautiful Marie Wallace.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. And thank you for joining us on Facebook. We are live every week, even on New Year's Eve. And we're grateful you are here with us. If you're catching the replay, you can find us on Spotify, Podbean, iTunes, all the different places. So thank you so much for your support and your listening. With that, we are going to chat, no surprise, about the new year. And as I was saying before, Marie and I were talking about how we have a lot of people demonizing 2020 and saying how awful it was and how great 2021 is going to be. And I feel a little bit of caution in that because just because the year turns doesn't mean that all of our problems just go away.
Amazing.
I know that every year that kind of seems to be a theme where people will say, oh, this year was awful and next year is going to be great. And then somehow at the end of that year, this year's awful and the next year is going to be great.
Yep.
And so I just want to acknowledge that and maybe give ourselves a little bit of a reality check, because every year has its good and bad. Every year has its blessings. And I don't really want to say curses, there are lessons, right? Often the pain that we experience brings lessons, it brings wisdom with it. And we've experienced a lot of pain and turmoil and change this year, but it hasn't been all bad. It has brought us wisdom, and it's also for me, I know I'm so much more grateful for the things that I do have. The simple things that I really feel like I took for granted before. I did lose a lot in 2020, personal things. Um, it wasn't just the chaos of coronavirus and the social unrest and all the other things we experienced on a grand scale. But, I lost my dog. That was really, really personal for me. My 10-year-old dog. That was hard. Um, I've had so many vet issues over the last several months. And, I was thinking how I'm really grateful for solid kitty poops. Damn, it's traumatic looking in that box now and going, oh God, is there any diarrhea in here?
Oh,
So those little things I didn't think about before because I never had those issues before. And, I miss some of the things that were, the bad pieces of being a dog owner, the things that we don't like. I miss those things, I miss picking up dog poop in
I
the
know. Who'd ever thought, right?
So 2020 has really made me grateful for a lot of things. My partner broke his wrist. That was a really crazy. We're still not through that. He still is limited to lifting 1 pound. And that happened back in like July. So, that's been a ride. And he's a massage therapist. So,
Yeah, that makes it even harder.
yeah, it's been crazy, but in adapting to those things, we've found gratitude for the little things, but we've also adapted in ways that we wouldn't have been required to before. And so, you know, uh, started a new business that wouldn't have happened. There's just things that we benefit from that we don't really think about. Sometimes pain pushes us towards
Yeah.
solutions that we didn't even know we wanted. And so I would like to today celebrate the things from 2020, whether that is wisdom that we've learned or things that we're really grateful for that maybe we didn't have gratitude for last year. And then let's talk about what we're going to leave behind. We do have a choice. Winter is a great reflective season. We get to reflect on what we really love, what we want to take forward with us, and we get to choose what we want to let go of and what we want to leave in the past. We have the power of choice, and sometimes we forget that. We are not just at the mercy of whatever 2021 brings us. So, that was a lot of talking on my part. Marie, tell me what your takeaways are for 2020.
There were so many, for me, quite a few of them happened in like 1 week, but just learning to pivot, I had to let go of a particular piece of my job that I really loved, and that was doing performing arts. And I love being in being with kids and doing drama and art and dancing and all that good stuff, storytelling. So I had to let that go because that looks different now. And then there were a couple of relationships that I moved on. And then some of those family traditions and dynamics, I really missed having some of those. Easter's usually at our house, Thanksgiving's usually at our house, Christmas we have special things. And so it was taking time to pivot, and we'll go over some of those. And there were lots and lots of gifts in them, but there were also opportunities to grieve and look at how blessed I am to have family to do those things with, to have traditions, and maybe it's time to create new things and to know that it doesn't have to look a certain way. We've always been, in our family traditions, always been very loose on what day we have certain holidays because we are a blended family, and just trying to figure out the dynamics of that could get a little crazy. And that's where the new traditions come from. And so I'm very grateful for those lessons of looking at what things I do have. And my business was, what's the word I wanted? I had someone take over my Facebook shop in my business, and it was pretty tragic watching it go away, being taken over, and not having any kind of say in it, or like you said, it's out of my control. I'm watching it happen, and it just allowed me to go, here's an opportunity for me to change some things, tighten up security. Here's an opportunity for me to see how blessed I am even to have this shop and to be able to be an entrepreneur. Like, so there's so many blessings in that. And then I also had my sister was put in a home in this year because of some big medical issues that she had. And I learned ways of communicating with her and being able to navigate that in a different way. But the loss was so great to not be able to touch someone, to hold them, to be in the same room, to so I know many people out there understand that particular piece, because COVID did bring a lot of those kinds of things, as well as fears and ways to be with each other. So there was hundreds of lessons this year to look at.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you feel most grateful for about 2020?
I got to talk about this, but for me, it was knowing that there are no real barriers except the ones that we create. Like the one with my sister, there were so many boundaries and barriers, like this table and these masks and two screens and no glasses, and she was having a difficult time. And I just remembered the most important part was that we communicate with a heart, and we can be with each other in lots of different ways. That was super cool for me, because I'm going, all these are just barriers. And it reminded me of the big picture, right? All these barriers we put up for ourselves. Yes, this happened in 2020, and some things really sucked, and we've had all these barriers, but we forget that there's so much more than this barrier that we have. We just haven't yet thought of the possibilities that could come from that. And that takes some time and some reflection. And I just think the other thing, and this one's going to seem a little weird, but it was so cool to watch how artists started collaborating together and finding new ways to pivot their businesses and be creative and out of the box. So that was kind of fun for me. How about you?
Yeah, I feel like I got to see a lot of people with heart, and just the creativity and adaptability of humans was really fun to watch for sure. That comes with it, some stress as well. And, we saw a lot of people trying really hard, but also, really struggling
Yeah.
with the changes that coronavirus brought. It was different for all of us. We have different businesses, we have different jobs, and different ways that it impacted all of us. Um, and it was hard to watch the social unrest, but like we talked about, I think it was last week, it's really made me grateful for the stranger on the side of the road when I'm on my walk, and they smile, and it's so innocent and so simple, instead of all of this complicated
Mhm.
craziness that is online. What side are you on?
Yeah.
It's
The
so
noticing more and slowing down more. I think that
Yeah,
was a
I
big thing.
really just have so much more gratitude for the simple things that just don't register a lot of the time as something I'm grateful for. When you lose something, you have so much more of an appreciation for it. And another loss that I had, which hopefully is temporary, is my co-mediator, my business partner, um, had some really intense cancer treatment, and I believe it is over as of this week. So that was a
Mm.
really long, hard, grueling journey, and I didn't get to work with him for the last quarter. And so I just, again, in some ways, just, man, was hit with I just took this for granted. I took for granted how wonderful it was to have um, partnership in the work that we do, and his jolly laughter and his ability to crack jokes when I'm being serious. We just balanced each other in the work that we do, which is intense, and a lot of conflict, and um, so just so many things that I perceived success in a certain way. At the beginning of 2020,
Yeah.
we all had goals. We all had things that we wanted to happen in the coming year. And so much of what I learned was to respect what I had
Yeah.
and to be grateful for what I had, and that was success, and that was also fragile. Um, and that every moment is something to be cherished, because whatever it is, whether it's an
Mhm.
animal or a person or a job or any sort of situation, is just delicate. And I don't say that to live in fear, but to fully experience and cherish whatever is in front of us. It's super key. And so moving some of those lessons forward into 2021, I think a little bit differently about
Mhm.
um, what are my intentions. And yes, I have goals, and yes, I have things that I want to succeed in, but I also really don't want to take things for granted that I have, um, that are fragile.
Yeah.
Even like, the peace of our country, that was another thing I really have taken for granted. We
Yeah.
all want to go back to normal. Well, normal is something I wasn't really grateful for before. And it's it comes at a steep price. So I,
That pause was really good, being able to pause and do some reflection on that gratitude was super important. Um, and I believe it just stretched the compassion bubbles too, because we could kind of understand and relate a little bit better and be more sensitive to others' feelings and what was going on, because even if it wasn't happening in our home, we almost always knew someone or had heard, other stories of what people were going through, and we could just be a lot more compassionate, knowing how much everyone was going through. So that I felt the compassion was a really good gift to bring forward. Be more thoughtful, because we never know what someone else's journey is like or what they're going through. And I think that 2020 blew that up, so we could say, hey, people are dealing with a lot, with all that happened with 2020 and cancer, right? With all that happened with 2020 and marriages failing, all that what that happened with 2020, and lots of those tragedies that have gone on. So yeah, just exercising compassion a lot more for our human fellow friends.
yeah, and I think sometimes, the temptation is to try to compete. I've seen some of
Mm.
that, like, oh, well, you don't know because, my business
My
went up.
tragedy is worse than yours.
Yeah, the truth is everybody was impacted by 2020 in some way. And, somebody who doesn't own a business didn't have that pain, but there was racial pain, like for some people that didn't impact other people. There was rioting that impacted some people, violence that impacted some people that didn't impact other people the same. There was coronavirus who did impact some people and doesn't impact others. Um, and I,
Freedom issues in some countries,
yeah,
right?
yeah, we all have something, and it's not that anyone's pain is worse or better than somebody else's. If we can just acknowledge that, with that place of compassion, find that compassion for what other people are going through, because everyone is going through something that is nerve wracking, right? There's a lot of uncertainty right now, which kind of makes humans go stir crazy. We love our certainty. And
Okay.
and there's been a lot of pain, there's some grief, and so extending people that bit of compassion and grace, I think, is really important. um, with that, I think that there is also some responsibility to be taken for the power of choice that we have, that we can choose what we don't want to bring with us into
Yes.
21. And um, are there a couple of things that come to mind that you are wanting to stay in 2020 and not bring with you into the new year?
Oh, you want me that I want to leave? I think for me is the hustle and bustle. Definitely want to leave that. I remember many days being packed with meetings and things, which were really wonderful. Don't get me wrong, but that pace. So I want to leave that hustling pace back. I want to leave the have tos. I have to this or I have to that. Found myself doing that a little bit. Um, Maybe some over expectations. I think there's always a set of expectations of most of the time I'm pretty loose and go with the flow, but there were a couple of expectations that I went, oh, okay, I could leave those. Don't need them. So if I thought about it a little bit more, I probably could come up with some more. How about you?
Yeah, I feel like there are definitely some things that I want to leave in the past. I think there are some changes that happened over 2020 that I won't return to. Like you know, I do think there was a little bit more of a mindless, busy pace before.
Mhm.
And I enjoy a lot more home time than I
Yeah.
did. And I'm an introvert. I love that. And so I'm definitely getting an opportunity to work more from home. I did already to some degree, but also, you know, um, I had quite a few in-person mediations where some of those are now on Zoom, and um, I do enjoy that pace. I also realize there's quite a new level of mastery required for
Yes.
time at home. And so that has been really interesting to navigate. It's interesting when you have full, like, you are fully responsible for your time, when you get out of bed, what you eat, if you exercise and move, like all of that is kind of just free flow right now. So like holding to a structure where somebody else outside of you isn't holding you accountable is a
Yes.
whole new way of life. Um, and I think I have found a flow and a norm that works. But yeah, I think I will let go of some of the appointments and things that used to have to be in person, that no longer have to be in person. Um, but again, just like we talked about before, because we lose something, we tend to value it more. And um, so some of the things that I saw as a pain before, like meeting people for coffee, I had really strict boundaries around, no, I don't really want to meet up, and that feels like a drain. And some of the things that felt like a drain before don't so much feel like one now. I cherish that time. If I do get to go to coffee with someone, which is very few and far between, um, those things mean something more today. Um, I learned a lot of lessons that I don't intend to repeat in 2021. I learned some business mistakes. Um,
Okay.
I I had some steep lessons around boundaries. There's just always a new level to learn, and I'm really aware and familiar with boundaries. But there were some times, especially around my Airbnb, where I kicked out two guests this year. Those were both really, really tough things to do. And I learned, a takeaway for me was I'm not going to entrust the safety of my home to Airbnb or someone outside of myself. That was a big takeaway. That's something I won't repeat in 2021. Um, I've learned some things as a boss. Um, being a leader was really a challenge this year.
Yeah.
And knowing um, how I wanted to lead a team and lead my clients. Leadership was just a big theme for me, and so I've gotten some really valuable nuggets that will go with me, and some things that I won't take with me. I won't repeat in 2021.
I got clear on those too. Leadership was big this year, and leading teams, because it was my first year of really doing that, and I made a lot of mistakes, which were good, but sometimes those mistakes can hurt other people. And so being really strong with what I want, what I expect, and the boundaries within that were really important so that I didn't hurt other people and others knew what they could count on from me as well. And so I'm glad you brought that one up. I definitely want to bring that one forward too, leave some of that other stuff behind that weren't so good.
Yep. Yep. I'm not sure how to put into words, but I feel like I equated a lot of my success with money prior to 2021, because that was kind of I've been
Business
involved
one.
in the coaching world for a while, the business world. And this year it was really interesting to see like how money just really came and went, and like I would just get these stimulus or something that's like, oh, just random money, and then vet bills that it's random money out, and just kind of that idea that you really don't have the control you think you have. And really leaning into what is the purpose that I really, what is my life's purpose and vision, and just trusting that the money will be there, and not attaching the value and success of my business and my life's work to that number. That's been a huge takeaway for me this year as well. Yeah, so many lessons. I feel like I've got a lot of depth out of this year.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, just went deeper. I agree.
Yeah, it was a going deeper year for sure. It wasn't superficial.
Well, it's strength I believe we're going to need for the next year, right? I do believe that's all in preparation for the next level, leveling up. And sometimes we have to put on that armor as part of it, but we also have to put on, have the right tools and have the right attitude and the right perspective. And then also, I think the big tool for me, and it's always been my favorite, I call myself the queen of possibilities, is that sometimes when we're in this box, or what we think is the box, and we have no control, the mantra I would say to myself is, I just have not yet thought of how to get out of this box. It's not a container. It's not something that's going to keep me there forever. I just haven't yet thought of what that thing is that's going to get me out of here. So
it's more
just staying with that possibilities. What were you going to say?
it's like you're in a game. It's just
Yeah.
figure out.
Be more playful about it and curious. That's our word anyway. But yeah, be curious. I wonder what's next. And instead of fearful, we could bring fear in, and we could worry, and we could bring all those forward, and it won't do us any good. It'll just keep us small and hidden, and there's work to do. There's people that are counting on us to be there for them, and sitting in a box or a container all bound up is not going to help anyone.
No. I had a very dear friend that used to say, I wonder what good is going to come out of this.
Oh, I like
It's
that.
always such a good reminder that I don't know what's good and bad a lot of the time. I know what's painful, but a lot of the things that bring me pain also are the very things that end up bringing me joy later. And I don't get to see ahead to know that that's going to happen or not happen. I don't really know what's going to be good or bad. Um, so
And
just
that's
trust.
just a perspective at the time, even.
Yep, totally. A lot of really painful things have brought me on an amazing journey, that has been wonderful. So it's pretty relative. I'd also like to just address moving into 21. Um, the expectations that we have that, oh, 2020 is behind
The
us,
best ever.
be the best ever year. Um, yes, let's temper that a little bit, because I'm kind of tired of every year hearing the same story. Um, I think in the same way that we judge 2020 or any past year that it's horrible and bad and whatever, we're using that same paradigm and that same judgment to um, look at 2021 or the next year with this,
Yeah.
rose colored lens. And neither is true.
Mhm.
Looking back isn't all bad and looking forward isn't all good. We're still going to get some lessons in 2021. We're still going to have some hardships. We're still going to have plenty of lessons that are going to give us wisdom. It's not going to be just all bliss and easy. It is not. But we will have moments that are unexpected. That's the really wonderful thing about life is we don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure we're going to have some challenges, and then we're also going to have some windfalls, and we're going to have some really wonderful unexpected surprises. And that is the beauty of life. And so maybe if we changed our perspective to embracing whatever is coming in
Yeah.
2021 and knowing that whatever happens, it's the best thing for us. Whatever happens, um, it is the best next thing. It is what the divine is using to grow us and expand us, because I do know the divine is not interested in my comfort. The divine is interested in my expansion and growth.
Mhm.
So 2021, I can guarantee you, is not going to be comfortable, because that isn't the goal. The goal isn't to be comfortable. So knowing that, what are we going to do with our 2021? Because if we go in with the expectations that we're just going to kick back and all the pain's over, we're going to be sorely disappointed. But what are we going to do with it? How are we going to choose to react to it and rise up and meet the challenge?
Yeah. I think expectations is one of those things that can always get us in a lot of trouble. Is, we expect a new year means I can throw it all away and this year's going to be everything I wanted it to be. And then there's no balance either. It's just hyper mode and we're back to that busy, gotta do instead of just be. And I think that's another big lesson, is just to be with what is and enjoy, like even savor these moments, like when the snow is snow falling outside the window, and then go, oh, that's a very picturesque calendar moment. Those are moments that I might not have thought about before. And instead of going bam busting through the door 2021, I kind of think of those shepherds barely opening the door and peeking in. I mean, you could go blasting through with these expectations or worries or fears or any of those things. It, it's just be with what is. I think this is the most important lesson, and enjoy what we have. And what did your friend say? I wonder what's coming next.
I
Is that
wonder
what
what
it was?
good is going to come from this.
Ah, I like that. I wonder what good is going to come from this.
Yeah. And I love that just curious perspective. And I think if we bring that with us into 2021, we can't go wrong, right? I wonder what good is going to come from this. And sometimes that's really hard to say. Sometimes that is incredibly hard to say. And it's totally fine and healthy to grieve in the moment when we experience loss. And it's okay to feel that pain. But I do believe that we're capable of holding both. You know,
Yeah.
I'm capable of really experiencing the loss of my dog and then also saying, I wonder what good is going to come from this. Those are both we're capable of holding both. Um, and I think the same is true moving into 2021 is, yeah, it's been one hell of a year and it's probably going to continue to be pretty rocky. Um, so what good is going to come of this? Because sometimes rockiness, you know, really brings out a lot of great changes. And
Muscles.
it does. Yeah, this is true. I've used that analogy a lot is what builds a muscle is tearing it. So if we think about that perspective, you know, we've been tearing our muscles, right? And building our muscles this year. And there might be some more of that coming up. And that's okay. That's not actually a pessimistic thing to say. That is actually a positive thing to say because I'm okay with tearing my muscles and getting stronger because that's the goal. The goal isn't to lay on the couch and not be bothered watching our TV. That's not the goal of my life. So the goal is to grow and learn and expand. And I know that I'm going to get plenty of that in 2021. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's celebrate that. Celebrate whatever new lessons are coming. And I'm sure celebrating that this winter season has been quieter and more reflective than I think a lot of us have had in the past. And there's a remembering happening,
Mm-hmm.
remembering the way that we used to do winters, right? The way that we used to have that reflection. And that reflection isn't always pleasant, but it is really useful. Yeah.
So don't be afraid to go there.
No, go deep.
Go deep.
Go deep. Yeah. Well, we've spent a lot of time talking, so I'll go ahead and wrap us up. I don't see any comments. Um, I hope you all have a phenomenal time celebrating this new year. I'm sure all of us have new traditions this year because we're not going to watch a ball drop or do any of the old things that we used to do. I think my family is going to meet up for food and a video tonight. We're going to watch the new Wonder Woman. So whatever your plans are, I hope it's phenomenal for you and have a wonderful new tradition and
Yes.
year.
Happy New Year. Enjoy those that you have with you.
Yes. Yeah. Enjoy, fully celebrate and cherish every moment that you've got because you really don't know when the next one or when how that's going to end because all of it ends at some point. All of it does. So cherish every single little bit. Every feeling, even the crazy ones. Them all. So we love you. We will see you again next week, every Thursday morning. You can find us on our Facebook group, Braveheart Conversations. You can also find us on Spotify, Podbean, iTunes. You can find us on my website. You can listen to all the past episodes. We really appreciate you listening. We appreciate
it so
being
much. So
here.
grateful for you.
If you have
grateful.
any questions, like please reach out to us. We love topic recommendations, questions, comments, disagreements, whatever you feel. We welcome it all. So if you want to reach out, you can reach me at defytheaverage@gmail.com, or you can reach out to Marie.
Marie at mariesgold.com. We are so grateful for you the last year and a half. We're so sorry. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Happy New Year, guys. We'll see you next week. Love you.
Happy New Year.